Mr. President, let me start by saying that Esteem has partnered with MINCAM in many projects in the past, but we never had a conversation like this before. I know that you have been away from the community for some time now, so this is a good time to have this type of a conversation. How does it feel coming back?
Well, I would like to start this interview by thanking Esteem TV. Over the years, Esteem TV has put MINCAM on the global map by voluntarily coming to cover MINCAM events, and without Esteem TV, MINCAM would not have gotten the exposure that we've had so far. So thank you, Esteem TV, and to the director of Esteem TV for partnering with MINCAM in promoting community work. That is a pertinent question that you asked. It's really a great pleasure coming back to community work after an extended leave of absence. And I would like to heartily thank community members who overwhelmingly paid me visits at the hospital while I was there, and those who came to my home after I was discharged from the hospital. I would also like to thank all those who placed those phone calls, the greeting cards and the get well soon cards, and especially for all your prayers. This is a great community, and as I always say, I am proud to be part of this community, and I'm glad to be back after that extended leave of absence.
Having come back, what do you think about the state of the community in your absence? Can things work without you?
Good question, Mr. Ambe. I think at this point, I would like to say that the state of the association, MINCAM, is well. One thing that this administration has laid emphasis on is teamwork. Over the years, the leadership of MINCAM, which does not only include the executive arm, but also includes the board of directors and the representative assembly, have been able to work hand in glove to enhance and promote the mission of MINCAM. So in my absence, that collaboration continued, and that is what has actually advanced MINCAM up till this point in my absence.
Mr. President, a lot of national conventions coming to Minnesota year after year. What do you think about this development?
Well, this tells us that Minnesota has become the beacon of success, where everybody wants to mirror themselves. Over the years, we have grown the Minnesota community to be an envy of others. So people are converging from different angles of the state to come see for themselves who these providentially united people are. And as a matter of fact, for a few years now, we've been having, over the summer, several conventions running simultaneously on the same weekends. Like the weekend you're talking about, last weekend, we had the Bally's Boys Association National Convention that held here in the Twin Cities. And on the same day and the same weekend, we had the FACO America National Convention that held here. And across the summer of 2014, there are many other conventions, national conventions that are coming to Minnesota. That is a good sign for this community that we are doing well and we are growing as a community.
I want to talk about young people. Let me say that we are very good at paying attention to the very young, the children, because they do have the MINCAM Children's Christmas Party. We obviously also pay a lot of attention to the needs of our adult population. In between the children and the adults, there is a population that I think we are losing. I'm talking of the teenagers and the young adults in our community. I have heard them express that they don't fit in the parties we have. Can we find programs to bring this population into the fold instead of having them go downtown for their needs? Can we find a way to bring them back into the community? Because that is the next generation to take over MINCAM.
As a matter of fact, you are right about that. The second generation Americans, I would call them, basically are our children that were born and raised here in America. They are becoming the #1 population amongst the Cameroonians here. I was myself really shocked to see how many young people I saw here at Bandana Square a few weeks ago when they had a graduation event here. So that is a very critical mass that we have to contain, because the future of the Cameroon community here in Minnesota belongs to those Cameroonians who are second-generation Cameroonians. Now, with this center, Bandana Square, we want to make it a one-stop center for every Cameroonian, regardless of generational gap. We have programs in place, especially the clusters that we are coming up with when our center will be up and running, that would include programs for youth, especially. And in the coming days or so, we have a task force that is working with that youth population in order to bring them here one weekend. I think it would be the first weekend of every month or the last weekend of every month for an activity that would be fulfilling for the young people and attractive to them here.
That would be wonderful. Let's focus on the center itself now. In the last half of last year, it was the #1 focus of this community. Since acquiring the property, and I know that it is an interval between having it and the next stage. Can you talk about the next stage?
That is a very pertinent question, and I would like, first of all, to begin by saying that congratulating Cameroonians for this outstanding achievement. Our echoes are going beyond the boundaries of Minnesota and across the world. As we all know, we now have the final deed of conveyance of this property, 1020 Bandana Boulevard, registered with the Ramsey County under the Minnesota Cameroon community. And I would like to mention here that the building is completely paid off. It's a 57,000 square foot building with a real estate value of $5.8 million right now. And we owe no taxes on it because we're a 501c3 tax-exempt organization. We owe no rents on this property, and we owe no mortgage on this property. It's all ours for eternity and for eternity. So thank you and congratulations, Cameroonians, for that giant step. I remember in those winter and bitterly cold days during December when we were driving from location to location to raise funds for this community center. It was a worthwhile event, and finally our hard work has paid off. Now, where we are, I believe beginning the day we signed the final contract on owning this property on the 15th of March, we have made this property be a home welcoming to every Cameroonian. I remember sometime in March, we actually convened a town hall meeting here that brought Cameroonians together. And that meeting was basically to ask Cameroonians to chip in their ideas on the kind of programming and the schematic or architectural layout that they want to see here in Bandana Square. And at the end of the day, Cameroonians proffered their wish list, which our architects, working pro bono for MINCAM, because MINCAM is a volunteer organization, of course, they came up with an architectural structure that would contain a state-of-the-art Cameroon, multi-purpose Cameroon community center, which would include a banquet hall that can contain up to 1,000 people here at the same time. We would have a museum of arts and culture here. We would have a gymnasium where Cameroonians can come for fitness and wellness here. We will have a conference room that can serve for a small banquet room as well. We would have a library, and we would have meeting rooms. We would have a daycare center here, and many other programs that were proffered in that wish list on that day of the town hall meeting. At this point, we basically determined that as is, the lobby of our Cameroon Community Center can be used to accommodate certain events, and that has been the case in the few past months. We've hosted graduation parties here, we've hosted marriages here, we've hosted weddings here, we've hosted all kinds of events here on the lobby of this building, and reports that are coming back are very satisfactory reports. And I can guarantee you that by the time we are done with the remodeling process of this building, it would be a phenomenal place for Cameroonians to come and feel at home. Now, where are we with the state of the Cameroon Community Center? Like we know, a month ago, with my team, we came out with some changes in the structures of MINCAM. Basically, the project committee under the stewardship successfully of late Levi Babaya, Mr. Levi Babaya, may his soul rest in peace, and then Mr. Jerry Younger and Mr. Steve Ndeli currently did a marvelous job of concluding their mission of identifying and acquiring a community center. So we had to morph that committee into some kind of operational committee that was subdivided into task forces. And we are gradually unfolding those task forces. One of the very first ones that we unfolded was an internal controls task force. This task force, MINCAM has become $1 million enterprise at this point, and we think that we have to develop viable systems, especially financial control systems that are consistent with accounting principles that are acceptable. So we are unfolding that gradually, and we have to meet the challenges of the changing times as well. As you know, we have a fund development task force that is put in place that is meant to tap into the resources that we have and would leverage on those resources to make our community center a sustainable center. When I'm talking of resources, we're talking of local, county, state, and federal agencies that can provide grants to programming here and to infrastructural development. We are counting on some financial institutions that would come in and help with that. We are counting on many other Cameroonian communities in the USA and abroad. We are counting on some schools, colleges, and universities. We are counting on faith-based organizations and many other African governments that can come and help us with those resources that are needed to remodel the place. So in the coming days or so, we will be unveiling a plan for the community center moving forward. And the hope is that by the end of the fall, we should be starting some kind of remodeling work here in the center to accommodate Cameroonians.
You know, when I think of MINCAM, I see it more as a cooperative than a non-profit that gets its resources from somewhere else and then take it back to serve a dependent population. MINCAM members pool their resources together for their own benefit. Now, let me ask you this. MINCAM members have come together to acquire this property. I just heard you name some third-party organizations that can become a resource to MINCAM. Is there a plan to go back to the community and say, this is where we are now, and this is what we need to do to move to the next stage? Is that feasible?
It is feasible, and I would like to inform you that we just had a transition of leadership in the Constituent Assembly, which is the Rep Assembly. So we have new leadership that has just come on board, and we will make sure that leadership is up to speed so that they can go back to the grassroots. Basically, MINCAM is an organization of a constituent assembly made up of a consortium of different organizations. So when that leadership is up to speed, then we will have to go back to the Constituent Assembly, to those groups, and let them know that the work that we did in acquiring this property was outstanding and phenomenal, but we still have a lot to do in order to make this property sustainable while we wait on leveraging resources from those external organizations that I just mentioned here.
Let me ask you this more directly, Mr. President. what is the state of MINCAM Finances right now? Because it is a concern in the community. I think members of this community do see the structure standing. They know that it does require a certain amount of money to keep it going. What is the state of MINCAM Finances, especially in relation to this property? We do pay electricity, we do pay water, we are using a lot of air conditioning now, and I feel a healthy concern in the community because they do understand what it takes to get all of this going.
Very pertinent question, and I would like to begin answering that question by saying that the state of MINCAM Finances at this point is at a point where it's at sustainable point, I would like to mention. In the last month since the acquisition of the center, we have been able to sustain the center in terms of utility bills. Averagely during the winter, which historically has been one of the coldest winters in Minnesota in over 2 decades, our bills averaged about $11,000 a month for the heating of the property. We have insurance on the building. We have water running here, which is city water. So together, on a monthly basis, we needed about $12,000. And so far, MINCAM has been able to sustain that up till this point. Now, the good news is we are in the summer months, and consumption has dropped significantly to about $3,000 a month, and MINCAM has been able to sustain that. But we are getting to a point where we are almost depleting our finances, and for those reasons, we are working very hard as leadership to make sure that we leverage other resources, including the constituent assembly that I'm talking about, that would have to work from the background as the grassroots to make this place sustainable. Now, in addition, there is a plan in place here that we are working with. Like you might have known, Mr. Ambe, that we are working now in leveraging a lease here on the property. There is a charter school that is called CPE, College Prep Education. That charter school wants to rent part of this center here that would bring in about $500,000 in terms of rent on a yearly basis. And I would just like to mention for the records here that we have already signed a letter of intent to lease with CPE, and our pro bono attorneys, I would like to thank them again, are now working diligently with the other side of CPE to make sure that they finalize the lease, and hopefully by January 1st, remodeling and other structural modifications will be made here in order to accommodate CPE. Now, what is CPE? Like I mentioned, it's a charter school that started in 2009. And they started with about 138 students, and they are growing as the years go by. At this point, they have approximately 400 students, and their goal over the next 5 years is to expand and have a base of about 600 students. So it's a 501c3 organization like we are, non-profit tax exempt. That makes the union between MINCAM and CPE a very beneficial one, because we are tax-exempt organization, and we want to make sure that we fulfill those conditions when we are leasing space here for any entity that wants to have that marriage with MINCAM. CPE has a budget, an annual budget of about $3 million, and they have been operating very successfully since 2009. Right now, they are occupying a space of about 15,000 square foot, and as much as they are expanding, their goal is to have a space of about 22,000 square foot, which we will be able to provide here in our community center and have a lease with them that would range between 5 and 10 years. If that goes through successfully, that lease can bring substantial amounts of money into MINCAM coffers, up to about $500,000 a year. That's plan number one. Plan number two, we are currently working with different financial institutions at making sure that we leverage a line of credit that would help us remodel our center. I am glad to report to you that we have successfully submitted and passed the test of what we call the line of credit with the banking institutions, and we are just waiting on underwriter for the approval process. If that happens, then we will be starting renovating this center immediately, and as soon as it's good to go, we are sure to get revenue that would be able to sustain this property as we move forward. So that is the plan that we have in place so far. And also, those events that we have here on a weekend basis, on a regular basis as well, bring in some income that can actually help us pay some bills here. But overall, the state of the association is doing good. The state of our finances are doing good. And again, I want to thank the Internal Controls Task Force that has set up some control system to make sure that our accounting principles are met and that they would meet the changing test of time and the changing test of the leadership of MINCAM as well. So again, thank you to that task force, and I would be updating the community as we go ahead with our way forward with the Cameroon Community Center.
When you talked about CPE, you talked about January 1st. January 2015?
January 1st, 2015.
That's when they are thinking of coming in?
That's when they are thinking of coming in. And I just want to mention here that when we came up with that structural plan, architectural plan here, it takes between 60 and 90 days for the city of St. Paul to approve any structural modification of the building. And I just want to mention here and remind us that this building is in the historic record of, it's in the record of historical buildings in the registry of the USA. So we need about 60 to 90 days for any structural modification to take place here. And we are talking July at this time, so 60 to 90 days would take us maybe up to September for approval. And when that is approved, then we will start remodeling and other structural modification work here that we are hoping would take us up to December, and then January 1st or early January, that will be ready for CPE to move in at that point.
I have to ask you this question. I have been hearing of CPE since January. What is taking them this long to commit?
Well, they have committed already. I think it's not an easy process. It's a union that would last for a very long time, and both parties have to do their due diligence. So we've been going back and forth. Remember that it takes attorneys to do the work. It takes accountants to do the work. It takes administrators to do the work. And on the part of MINCAM, all of us here do the work pro bono, volunteer services. And I'm really glad for all those who have come in so far to help with that process move forward. So we've just been bouncing the lease back and forth, modifying things so that we can come into an agreement, a common agreement as to what the lease would look like. So that is why it's taking that long, because we have to do that due diligence to make sure that that union is a lasting union between MINCAM and CPE.
I was here one evening when one non-profit organization member was talking about renting offices here. After the remodeling, are we going to accommodate other non-profit organizations' housing needs?
Yes, it is important to note that as much as we are considering CPE here as our primary client, we are also considering other entities that would be leasing space here from MINCAM. And it is important to note that it would be beneficial for MINCAM to have that union. Whoever is coming in here to lease or to become a tenant it would be beneficial for our tax-exempt status to have one that has that same status as a 501c3 organization. We can also have, a profit-making organization here, but that would mean probably paying taxes, property taxes on the space that would be leased by that entity. We don't rule out any for-profit making organization here, and we will make sure that we allocate space as we get along, as we see fit here for other organizations that would be willing to lease space from the community center.
Coming back to finances, Mr. President, there are also speculations and rumors out there about taxes that are owed, taxes that would be accumulating, and so on. Can you clarify this? Because it is confusing, and I know that many people in this community don't know what to think about all this. Can you throw some light on these rumors?
Well, the truth of the matter is there will always be different opinions in community. That is what makes us a diverse community, and I respect all those opinions when they are proffered. But the truth of the matter is we're a 501c3 organization that acquired the building, and that is the reason why we got the building in the first place, because we are tax-exempt. And we have filed with the Ramsey County an application for tax exemption for the year 2015. Now, for the year 2014, per the contract that was signed with the former landlord here, the taxes were brought down. Remember, it was this property is valued at $5.8 million, and the annual taxes that were paid on this property were averaging about $200,000. So with the former landlords, they succeeded at bringing those taxes for 2014 to about half that amount, which is $100,000. And per the contract that was signed at closing, we owe them 1/3 of that amount, and then moving forward, 2015 will be MINCAM owning this property without taxes. So we are a tax-exempt organization, and I want to lay a lot of emphasis on that we do not owe any taxes with the county, and because of that status, we will make sure that we maintain our status, and it's renewable every 2 years with the county. So those rumors and speculations about the taxes owed on this property are probably just rumors like you mentioned, but I would like to encourage anybody out there who wants to get the facts straight to contact leadership. There is an operations committee, there is an executive arm of MINCAM, there is the rep assembly leadership, and there is the board of directors. Feel free to contact any member of in leadership to give you clarifications as to what the state of the CCC is.
Let me tell you what I think about the speculations as a community member. Just looking at the building and listening to you talk tonight, it is clear that once we are up and running, a lot of income will be coming in, not just from tenants, but also from MINCAM operations in the building. And so instead of emphasizing what our expenses are or will become, we should be focusing on the potential of the building and working to maximize that potential. If we do that well and approach maximum capacity, the expenses will be minuscule. Am I thinking right here?
I think you're thinking right. I mean, like every business entity, there are always challenges at every beginning phase, and MINCAM is no exception. It is true that we are facing challenges. We went from a $1 or $10 organization to a multi-million organization. So there is every reason for us to be learning as we get along, as we grow in the process. So it's no surprise to me that we would encounter, nobody said it was going to be easy. Nobody thought it was going to be easy to acquire this property, and we did. And nobody would have thought that it would be easy as well to get this place up and running. It's going to be a challenge. Anybody who thought that it would be easy probably wanted to rethink their position. There is going to be a lot of income-generating activities in the center. I'm just taking, for example, the Museum of Arts and Culture that we are intending to put here. I have been at the Minneapolis Institute of Arts several times visiting, and just the revenue that is generated from that Minneapolis Institute of Arts, it's about $100,000 a year. And the kind of museum that we want to set up here is going to be an African all-inclusive museum, taking Cameroon to be Africa in miniature. We intend to have all kinds of artifacts, not just from Cameroon, but which will represent Africa in general here. That is a huge avenue of bringing income into the center. It will be a one-stop center for schools to come for excursions. It will be a one-stop center for tourists who are coming from out of state. It will be a one-stop center for people who are visiting from out of the country. We just want to make this place Little Africa, taking advantage of the fact that Cameroon is Africa in miniature, meaning that everything that is in Cameroon is found everywhere else in Africa. So that is one channel of bringing income into the property. Number two, we are hoping to have a gymnasium here. During the summer or during the winter months especially, there are a lot of schools and a lot of organizations that are looking at renting spot for their soccer games and indoor activities. That would serve as an income generating activity as well. We would have that state-of-the-art ballroom here that would accommodate at least 700. The goal is to have that ballroom to accommodate at least 700 to 1,000 people in here. If we have a good center here, it will be an attraction, not only for Cameroonians here, but for Africans and other African and non-African immigrant communities here in the Twin Cities. And remember that we are connected to the hotel here, and we will be having a conference room here as well that can be rented out for to corporate America for conferences with leveraging the hotel that is next door. So, Mr. Ambe, that is a very good question that you're asking, and I want to reassure Cameroonians that we cannot go wrong with this building, and moving forward, we should always keep that behind our mind, that everything is possible and nobody thought it was going to be easy, and together we shall make it happen.
I may be repeating myself here, but let me say that when I think of this center, it reminds me of the strength of this community. I did visit a few of the grassroots fundraisers, and a lot of the monies that were contributed came as change in the pocket. It was given with the ease that suggested that. What this meant to me was that our community still has a lot of potential that can be tapped. We acquired this without anybody really breaking their bank to do it. Did you get that same feeling, suggesting that the strength of this community is too much to let an accomplishment like this slip away?
That is exactly correct. If anybody asked me why we have such a united community, I would not tell a lie to say I have a reason for that. I always talk of providence. The people of Minnesota are brought together as a people with a common heritage and with a common destiny. And this unity that prevails among us is just beyond my imagination. And you're right, the strength that can be leveraged from this community in terms of resources, not just the financial resources, but the manpower that we have here is really, really outstanding and amazing. And I think we can continue to leverage on those strengths and make our community a better community and make our Cameroon Community Center an even bigger center than we had envisaged.
Let me ask you a more personal question. When you come into this building, how does it make you feel?
Mr. Ambe, it feels like home. There is nothing as soothing as having the keys to your own door. You walk in and out at any time that you want. There is nobody asking you why you're in here. Proof of that is we've been holding our MINCAM events here, including leadership meetings, and other cultural groups have been coming here on a regular basis holding their meetings. Previously, we had to be hustling around the whole city to rent space, or you go to a community center or the public library and they are double booked. So now with that ease of having a community center, it feels like home. This is home to Cameroonians. And I want to really encourage Cameroonians to take this as home.
Thank you for granting us this interview. I would like to echo what you said and say that as much as it is a learning process for MINCAM leadership, it is also a learning process for community members who want to know what is going on, and we would always come back to you to be a part of sharing information. That way we all grow together in the process. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I would really like to thank Esteem TV again for the collaboration that they are having with MINCAM. And again, that is the spirit of unity, that is the spirit of volunteer work. And I challenge Cameroonians to put in their time. People have really lifted this community up by volunteering their time, their effort, their skills, and everything else. And I really commend everybody for that. And let's stay the course. It's never going to be easy. Like I mentioned in one of my emails the other day, I remembered this guy of yesteryears with that piece, Bongo Sikwe, if you remember. He's been searching for something, and he always knew that nothing good would come easy. But he kept on searching until he finds it. So stay the course, and we shall get there as one people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.